Hey everyone, it's Dr. Ramani, and welcome back to this YouTube channel that takes on all kinds of stuff about narcissism and narcissistic abuse and trying to understand the mess that these relationships are in our lives and even the mess that they've made the world of these days. If you're new to this channel, please subscribe. And if you do like this video, give us that thumbs up, because even though I don't need validation that much, a little bit goes a long way. And it also makes sure that this channel gets into the hands of more people, because the more people who get this, the more people who are running a better defense and offense against narcissism. So today I'm going to be talking about something you've heard about a lot. And I actually was struck. I consulted with my team and they're like, no, Dr. Romney, we actually haven't done the victim bully video. So here it is. I was thinking about it the other day. I just assumed I had talked about it, because sometimes I think when I think things, I've talked about them. Not so much. So let's talk about the victim bully. I know you've heard about it, but let's just really break it down. It's really going to help you understand narcissism a lot more clearly. And if any of you have really encountered that victim bully dynamic in your narcissistic relationship, drop it in the comments. But the fact is, if you have a narcissist in your life, I can already guarantee you, you have encountered this dynamic. So the narcissist, we could actually almost call narcissism victim bully, but yeah, we call it narcissism. So the victim bully is one of the most classical dynamics in the narcissistic personality and in the narcissistic relationship. And like I said, I'm surprised I haven't talked about it. I think it's inserted itself here and there. But it's really important to understand this dynamic, the victim bully, accurately, because it also sheds a lot of light onto understanding the trauma bond. Now, let me lay out a scenario for you in a rough way. So there's a big, bad, bullying, bossy narcissist about, raging around, yelling, demanding, being selfish, entitled, the basic expectable stuff from a narcissist. People are kind of afraid of this person. They walk on eggshells. Everyone is typically cutting the narcissistic bully a really wide berth. Finally, someone snaps. They don't even care about the narcissistic person's rage, and they snap back and they say, you are such an a-hole. Just stop. You are such a jerk. You are ruining everybody's day around here. Nobody wants to be here anymore because of you. We just wish you would leave. You are such an awful person. Okay, they say that to the narcissist. Then the narcissist does a Charlie Brown on you, head down, and they start in on, okay, I was just trying to do what people wanted. I spent the whole day trying to make sure I got you guys the right food and the right stuff. I was just trying to help everyone. And then they may lean into saying things like, oh God, you guys have always been out to get me. I am so good to everyone. Why do you always target me? Okay, if that's what you want me to leave? Okay, I guess I'm going to leave. Nobody wants me here. And they may even walk away, right? Oh, I know. You don't want me anymore. You just use me, right? So why don't you all just have a good time without me? And it's always seemed that, no, you just expect me to just bring all the stuff and do everything for y'all, but you have more fun when I'm not here. And honestly, none of you understand me. None of you even want to understand me. And then they sort of shamefully walk out of the room, and the whole thing is sort of sad and pathetic to watch, right? And then you, the empathic soul that you are, after seeing that, you want to reach after them and say, listen, okay, I'm sorry, all right? We don't need to do this anymore, right? I was so harsh. It's amazing how quickly you forget how ragey and awful they were just a few minutes ago. No, I listen, I didn't mean to hurt you. You were getting rough on everyone, but we want you to stay, okay? And then they're going to mope a little while longer, and you try even harder to pull them in. And before you know it, the very bully all of you were scared and aggravated about a little while ago is the victim that you are now trying to soothe and appease and make sure everything's okay. It's the ultimate sleight of hand, the switching of the masks, the shape-shifting move that they're so good at. It's the victim bully sequence. Narcissistic folks have this mastered to a magical art form. Vulnerable narcissists tend to be the ones that are the best at it, but every narcissist does it. It's what makes the trauma bond so traumatic. Just when a person hits the breaking point with a narcissistic person, that the rage and all of the invalidation and the berating and the humiliation finally gets to a person, and they take a stand against the narcissist is masterful at playing the sulking, petulant victim. And because most people stuck in narcissistic relationships tend to be pretty good, kind, compassionate, empathic people, they struggle with seeing the sort of the consequences like that leave the narcissist looking so victimized and sad, and they recant. And they find themselves trying to cheer up the victimized narcissist because people who've suffered narcissistic abuse are uncomfortable with that tension, with that conflict. It's a brilliant but sick maneuver by the narcissistic person. In one quick second, they are able to turn the tables from someone actually being really angry with them or upset about them to someone trying to appease them. In many cases, narcissistic people are so good at playing the victim that people tend to forget the bullying sequence that just happened and just focus their energies on making sure that the narcissist is okay. Another way that the victim bully sequence plays out is when you do call them out on their bad behavior. They try to play it off as a joke. You may say, you know what you just did or said, it was hurtful or it was wrong. And they will come back with, oh, come on, that was a joke. I was just joking. Can't you take a joke? And if you push harder and say, it's not really okay to make jokes at another person's expense or that hurts them, and that it sort of felt abusive, that's when they'll start to become rageful. Because basically at that point, you're kind of calling them out as a bit of a rotten, abusive person. And that inflames the whole shame rage spiral. At their deepest core, narcissistic people know that they're not nice people. And when that primal stuff gets stirred up, their claws come out. Trying to make it about being a joke, frankly, is gaslighting. And it puts them in the victim position of being oh so misunderstood. You didn't understand my joke. The structural reason for this is because every narcissist has both the grandiose and the vulnerable elements encompassed with them. And they're grandiose when stuff's going well, right? But when the grandiose stuff isn't working, stuff in their life isn't going their way, or they get called out, or they experience something that activates their shame, for example, someone calling them out on their behavior, then the vulnerable narcissist comes out to play. And then the victimhood descends. The victim bully sequence confuses people, but once you recognize it as a strategy or a tactic by the narcissistic person, it makes more sense than seeing it as the narcissist being two different people. They are, in fact, one person, one very tactical, manipulative person. Over time, this victim bully thing has worked for them. Don't get me wrong. When they are hurt, and for them, hurt means ego injury, not necessarily hurt feelings per se. But when something happens, something that makes them not look good to other people, or they feel that they aren't being adequately appreciated, it doesn't feel good for them. And that's when they slide immediately into the victimized, woe is me. That part in and of itself isn't that interesting. Many of us, even non-narcissists, can pretty easily fall into a victimized space when people are calling us out. The difference is that the narcissistic people have the bully piece alongside the victim piece. So the juxtaposition of the two is what is so striking, that they can go from being such jerks to being so victimized just like that. I am thinking of one situation I had observed. The guy was a world-class narcissist, arrogant, superficial, validation-seeking, insecure, angry, treated people around him horribly. At one point, the person he was dating, and because he was so insecure, he would waste lots of money on gifts, not just for her, but for everyone around him, was notoriously big tipper, that kind of thing. Well, at one point, she was witnessing yet another of his rage festivals and yelling. He was yelling at various household employees and family members. But this time his girlfriend, who wasn't very nice herself, she had had it with him. And it turns out that he had also just purchased a very expensive gift for her. He gave her the day before. But because she was so exasperated with him, she left because she thought he was acting like such an awful person. After she left, he became an insta victim. He couldn't believe that nobody could appreciate him. He took such good care of everyone. He buys everyone so much gifts. He spent so much on her. So now his narrative was that she was just using him. And then he slumped into a deflated balloon. He cried. He told her he missed her and that people have always left him and he would buy her anything she wanted. And, nobody likes him. And he knows the only reason anyone likes him is because he spends money. Who knows if she came back to him because of the gift or because of him? She claimed she came back to him because she felt so bad for him because he was so pathetic. And she felt guilty, like she was to blame. And as far as I know, I don't have contact with these people anymore. The cycle still continues between these two. They are caught in their trauma bonded dance. He vacillates between bullying and then when people call him out, becoming the victim. And anytime she finds her strength to leave, his victimhood, and I'm guessing the rather expensive gifts that he purchases, pull her back in. This was a toxic dance wrapped in a transactional mess. Narcissistic relationship. The victim bully is every narcissist ever. We see it all the time. For example, when idiot celebrities tweet or post stupid, thoughtless opinions on social media without thinking about who they would hurt or how insensitive the comment would be. And folks, this is on all sides of the political spectrum, right, left, and everybody in between. I think maybe normal people do this too, but when normal people do it, nobody cares. But then the celebrity gets called out. And then it's a whole victimized, oh, okay, I know, I wasn't thinking, I was misunderstood. It's so hard to be a celebrity. I'm shutting down my social media because I'm so misunderstood, blah, blah, blah. It's the same thing. Celebrities and politicians with their enormous platforms and egos can be bullies, and then they immediately behave like victims when they get called out for behaving so badly. The main reason narcissistic people get away with stuff, it's actually quite interesting. We understand, frankly, that 3-year-old children need consequences for their behavior. If they mouth off, they get a consequence. If they don't tidy up their toys, maybe they get a consequence. If they throw their food, a consequence. Hit their sibling, consequence. Don't clean up their cubby at school, consequence. But adult narcissists, no consequences. The victim play, that's their response to a consequence. We hold them accountable. Narcissists, every so often, we hold them accountable, and then they immediately become a victim. And all of us fall for it. Oh, poor, sad narcissist. But really, bullies don't like consequences. If consequences are good enough for a 3-year-old, then they are good enough for a 43-year-old. So when you feel pulled to rescue the victimized bully, stop yourself and recognize that they're just a 3-year-old that's pissed off about time off. It makes it a lot easier to try to not get in there and appease them. And remember, the narcissist isn't two people. They are just one well-oiled manipulation machine. Thanks again.